Good morning to you and welcome to your Thursday. I imagine your Thursday is off to a fast start no matter what you're doing. I'm Dan Gresham. This is my house, so that's why we call it Dan's At-Home Update. We've been doing this for well on 2 years now since the pandemic began across Southeast Texas. It's just a way to kind of keep in touch with you, kind of a coffee break, 9 o'clock, not a newscast. It's just a very casual delivery of some of the headlines across Southeast Texas. If you're unfamiliar, I am the morning show anchor and have been for more than 30 years now, 35 years at KFDM TV as of December the 18th. So, yeah, again, been around for a while and just like to take a few minutes to reach out to you. We are doing this as a Facebook Live and also as a YouTube Live, so that means that you can watch these and you can take time to talk to me in a variety of different ways. You can reach out. We have essentially comments that show up. So when you say good morning or you tell me where you're watching, I can show everyone else what you're thinking and or saying. It's a great way to be able to communicate. So if you've got a comment you want to make, some thought that you have on the day, feel free to drop it by. Kelly Tran has done so. Hi, Kelly. Good morning to you. Tammy, it's always good to see you up with us this morning there in Lumberton. Francis Simon, good morning to you. Myra Bro is up this morning. Good morning, Myra. Good morning, Clifford says to everyone, and good morning to you. Clifford, are you having a cup of coffee on the front porch this morning? Or is it a little bit too cool for that? Some folks would go, oh no, it's way too. To me, you don't get much better in Southeast Texas than where we've been over the course of the last week. I know if you're a warm weather person, you may say, oh no, it's too cold. But even if you're a warm weather person, deal with a little cool temperatures in the morning, knowing the reward comes in the afternoon when you can put on the short sleeves and get out and do whatever you want to do in shorts. To me, that's perfecto. I mean, I always say, to me, the perfect temp spread is about 35, 60, 35, 65. I mean, because when you say it, of course, it also depends. Is it humid or is it dry air? Is it that biting cold that you're going to get when it feels like it's going to rain at any moment? The classic Southeast Texas winter day, overcast skies and the chance of rain at what feels like any moment. Right? This morning, we do not have that, do not expect that. We're looking for sunshine to dominate the day, and in fact, not just today, but right on into the weekend as well. Good news. All right, so let's jump into this morning. Francis Simon, this is a good idea. I never knew. First time on here from Orange. Oh, no, Francis. Come on in. We welcome newcomers, absolutely. We got a lot of people who've been doing and watching from the beginning. Tom is a good example, and he watches in Frankfort, Illinois, but I'll be honest, he has a connection to Southeast Texas. That's why he watches. But there are other folks who, like Tom, have been watching since almost the beginning, and some that just stumble upon us, and either way you get here, we're delighted to have you. I will ask one more favor of you this morning, and I know I say it every time, but it's true. If you will just reach up, and there's a little circle, it's blue, it has a little thumb like this. If you will give us a like, it goes a long way to making sure that we have the right numbers for our algorithms. It gets us out a little bit further in the Facebook universe, and also does us well with the bosses, because they know we didn't come home and goof off. We're actually doing a little bit of work while we're here at home. All right, so let's jump into the headlines this morning. We start at KFDM.com as always, because unlike being able to go and get your national headlines in any place on the internet, there are very few places you can go and find out what's happening in your hometown. And we like to think this is a good one. We start this morning this is one of those, if you have to drive the highways and byways of Southeast Texas, I don't care if it's I-10 or if you're getting up, this happened to take place in Tyler County, 96, 69, we can go on and on, 256, a lot of them. But if this is what in the back of my mind all the time, is that it just seems to me we see more accidents today. And maybe that's not true. Maybe it's just because we have more ways of reporting them. I'm not sure, but the logging truck, long been, one of those that when you get behind one on, say, 69 or 96, especially if you're going up country. And I understand these guys got to make a living. I get it. And it's not on them, it's on me. I get behind one of those trucks and they're loaded up with logs, and all I can think of, what would it take for one of those, or how hard is it to stop one of those? Read an interesting article today, and a lot of people were going to go, oh, where? The New York Times. I think that as far as reporting goes, as far as coverage goes, there aren't too many places that have the kind of resources they have, whether you agree with, you feel like they come from a particular point of view. They have lots of resources. So anyway, I was reading this story and I thought it was really interesting. It was about the trucking shortage. And what they did was they put a reporter in the cab of a truck and had him stay for 48 hours and travel with this truck driver and find out what life is like on the road. And why is it that we're said to have a shortage of, 70,000 truck drivers that we need in this country? And you hear all these stories about what the money is that they're making and these bonuses, incentives. But the point of the article is, from the driver's point of view, the thing that they're not telling you, is that you spend a lot of hours sitting, waiting to pick up your cargo. You spend a lot of hours on the road, pushing it to the limit because, you don't want to take a stop. You can only drive so many hours in a day. And then you spend a lot of time away from home. And this driver was talking about what a lonely existence it was to be an on-the-road driver. And he was talking about he's seen every part of America that you can imagine. And, he loves seeing it, but at the same time, it's a very isolated feeling when you're in the cab of that truck. And he said he gave up on, CB radios and all that stuff a long time ago. And now he listens to what he wants to listen to. He has a satellite phone, he's never out of service. But at the same time, it was not an easy life. And that in fact, was the reason why people don't want to go into that profession, because it's not easy. Then I also read another interesting story about the supply chain that was based on these distribution centers who are trying to get product out across America, and how inconsistent things are right now. That it's just almost like in disarray, like in chaos, because of the ripple effect from the pandemic, whether it was shutting down production, not having chips in the car industry. This particular story was based, I think, out of Kansas City at one of these terminals, and they were right next to a GM plant. And in the past, that plant ran 3 shifts a day. They're now down to 1 shift a day. And even at that, they're not producing a steady number of cars. So for this terminal to run its business, it's really chaotic because they don't know if they're going to get 70 cars or 700 cars to deliver. So you see how it just kind of ripples out from there. So the drivers that are hired by the terminal to deliver the cars, sometimes they come and there's no work. Other times they come and there's more work than they have drivers. So that's just some of the problems that we're finding that are out there. There's some great journalism going on in this country. People could argue with you on that, but I'm telling you, there are people that are telling good stories. You might have to search it out, you might have to figure it out, but that's also kind of your job as a consumer, is, to go and find the stories that are of interest to you. All right, so back to the original story. Now that I got distracted, let's, sad story, 2 people dead following a late Wednesday morning crash, Tyler County, according to DPS, shortly after 11, Highway 287 and FM 256, about 6 miles northwest of Woodville. An SUV failed to yield the right-of-way at the intersection, pulled in front of a fully loaded log truck, nothing they could do, and there was a collision there on 287. The log truck hit the driver's side of the SUV, killed both people in the car, did not hurt the driver of that truck. I guess the takeaway of that is, when we're driving, we need to be attentive. There's no doubt about that. Also this morning, these 2 charged in a murder case out of Liberty County. Sheriff's Department says Billy Knox, that's the sheriff there, says 2 people have been arrested, charged earlier in the day with a murder case involving 2 victims found in a burned out vehicle on FM 1409 back in January on the 26th. And according to Captain Knox, no confirmation on the identity of the victims. One of them was shot And they're saying that there will probably be more arrests coming in this case. And as there are more information becomes available, we will share it with you both on air and online. Also this morning, a story of note. This is the front page, if you will, of our website. You can see there's a Kirby High School teacher facing a charge of being linked to a 17-year-old girl. A story about new apartments. I mean, is it crazy how many apartments are being built in Southeast Texas? And I have a feeling this is not just here. This is something that's happening, in many parts of the country, and certainly many parts of Texas, where you're finding people who say, it's just not doable for me to buy a house at this point. So I'm going to rent an apartment. But I'd like to have a nice apartment. I don't, and these new ones, the ones that are featured on our website, wow, they're very impressive. High-end finishes and very nice indeed. But go and read that story if you want to. $20 million is what the story said this morning that the Texas Land Office had invested. $20 million in that one complex. Also this morning, I don't know what's going on there. That's kind of weird. Also this morning, I wanted to show you the hospitalization rates across the state of Texas. Good source if you want to find them, Texas Tribune. I talked about some good journalism being done. These people are doing it here in the state of Texas. A lot of journalism going on there. But anyway, they have posted the Texas hospitalization rates, average new cases. And it's interesting, while we're seeing the number of cases reported going down, and we're seeing hospitalizations below levels that we haven't seen in 3 or 4 months, the number of deaths is still on the rise. And I think there's a lag there. There's a lag when it starts, the number of deaths compared to the number of new cases. And then there's a lag again at the other end of the variants, where they peak out and start coming back the other way. The deaths lag a little bit behind the drop off in the number of cases as well. And we'll continue to follow and see if that's not true. The other interesting note is that vaccination rates here in the state of Texas are now at 58.4%. And 69 have received at least one dose. 9 million Texans, though, remain unvaccinated today. All right, I'm not going to take a whole lot of your time this morning. We're already 13 minutes into this, so I want to get out of here as quickly as possible so you can get on with your day and I can get on with mine. But I do want to show you that, you need to be reminded, the Super Bowl is coming up Sunday. Do you have any interest at all in the Super Bowl? Do you care one way or the other? We did a story yesterday about how many hundreds of millions of dollars will be spent this weekend for bets on the Super Bowl. Now, the difference being, when we talked about this story 20 years ago, pretty much everybody who wanted to bet on the Super Bowl was calling a bookie, right? And now we have legalized gambling in this country, so you don't have to do that. You can go online now. There are several very well established online gambling houses, if you will. I could call them bookies, I guess, but they're not. They're legal, and they can take your bet. You can place your money, but it's not just about, for people who are uninitiated, who don't bet, they don't realize that there are a lot of things that come into play. You would hear a lot of numbers. It's not just like who's going to win the game. There's the over, the under, it's just prop bets. If you've never heard of a prop bet, a propositional bet, it's like, okay, who's going to win the coin toss? Who's going to have the first down? What time will it happen? I mean, people bet on all those things. I mean, you know as well as I do, there are people that are wager on anything, and anything and everything will be wagered on. But I'm just curious if you will be watching the Super Bowl, A, and B, will you be watching for the game? Do you really have any interest? Bengals, I have none. I'm not a huge NFL fan anymore. College football, college basketball, yes, but NFL, not so much. But I will watch because it's an event. I will watch because it'll be something that people will be talking about. I will watch because there may be food involved at the watch party. I will watch, but why will you watch? Like, Tom's honest enough to admit, he says, I'm just interested in the commercials. There are a lot of people, Tom, that would say the same thing. I'm just going to show up and see the commercials, watch the commercials. But you know what? You don't have to do that, Tom, right? You realize that. A lot of the Super Bowl commercials have already started. I saw one with, who was it that I saw the one that, and then I realized that it was, I want to say that it was Amazon, that they're already starting to run their commercials. And of course, Budweiser is back. They were gone last year. They've been a prime sponsor for years, but they are back. And Ad Meter, as you can see, will be taking part. Do you know it's a 30-second commercial this year? I read today, a 30-second commercial on the Super Bowl will cost you $7 million, I think is what I read, 7 million, 30 seconds. But of course, you got to realize how many eyes are on that. I guess it must work out because they get the money every year, right? Huge amounts are spent. And that's just for the commercial. That's for the time the commercial runs. That didn't have anything to do with the amount of money that they spent recruiting an ad agency to write it, a production company to shoot it. No names. You know, so many of these now, you know, you're going to see Paul Rudd I saw in a commercial. I think J-Lo is in a... You're going to see people of significant name recognition, star power. You have to pay them too. And that's all on top of that $7 million. But what blows your brain is when you realize some of these people aren't running one 30-second commercial. They're running dozens of 30-second commercials. Oh, they get a break. I'm sure they do get a break if they do more than one. Maybe it's only 6.5 million of 30-second spot. All right, that pretty much does it for me. I don't have a whole lot of money to spend on commercials, but I have a lot of time that I want to spend today. And I'm going outside. Some way, somehow, I'm going to be outside today. It's just too nice not to be. Plan your weekend as well, because we expect this good weather to last right on into the weekend. Don't forget, if you want to keep up with what's happening across Southeast Texas, one good way to do it is KFDM.com. Another is Facebook, of course, where you're at right now. Plus Twitter, we're there, our presence. Mine is Morning TV Dan, if you want to check it out. And YouTube, we have a channel, Dan's at Home. You can subscribe. And if you sign up for the notifications, you'll get them every time we post one of these updates. All right? Again, I'd appreciate it if you'll give us a thumbs up before you go this morning. Let us know that you're there, and we will look forward to putting it all back together with you tomorrow morning. You go out and make it a terrific day.